Hello, welcome to Healing Sense RMT Yoga. I'm the RMT with the Healing Sense, and this is a beginner's guide to meditation and breathing patterns. So whether you're a complete beginner or you've tried meditation and breathing patterns before and you just weren't really successful at it, these videos will be for you. So we'll start with some basic meditation and move into some basic breathing patterns that you can use every day, anywhere, whatever you like. You can do them at the beginning of a yoga practice or the end of a yoga practice or in the middle of a work day. Just remember, take your time to yourself and practice a couple of these techniques, whichever ones are your favorite. For our first meditation lesson, we are just going to learn how to sit and breathe. You can meditate technically in any position, but I recommend sitting, partly so you can really feel the ground, or in my case, the pillow underneath your hips. You can sit in a chair, you can sit on the couch, you can sit on a table, whatever you like. Just find a comfortable seated position. I like to do crossed ankles, but it's totally up to you. If you're sitting in a chair, have your feet flat on the ground so you can really feel the ground underneath your feet. And just feel that pressure from your hips, your glutes, into the cushion or pillow, whatever is underneath you. And then almost like, you know the way you push into your feet to stand up? Push into your hips to sit up a little bit taller. So you'll notice you might be a little bit slouched at first. And try and push, use your resistance against the ground to separate each of your vertebrae. There's a little disc in between each vertebrae. So very slowly to sit up to a proper seated position. And imagine, if you will, there's little muscles that run in between each vertebrae as well. Imagine that those little muscles are activating to really hold your spine tall and strong. You know that exercise, you have a little string at the top of your head, so that string is pulling you up. You're pushing down against the ground. You're making space between every vertebrae for those intervertebral discs to breathe. And that's the first thing to focus on, is sitting up tall, sitting up straight. That might be a lot of work for you already. And if that's the case, you can absolutely meditate just thinking about your posture, just thinking about your spine being straight, your shoulders being relaxed, not having a lot of tension in your jaw. I like to put my hands on my knees, palms facing up. You can face palms down as well, or bring your hands in so you can feel yourself breathe. Because breathing is the second thing we'll focus on. Once you have your posture down, or you feel like you want to focus on breathing a little bit more, because we all need to breathe, you might as well learn to do it right. So bring your hands just below your belly button. And first, just notice where you're breathing. Notice if you're breathing maybe a little bit higher up in your chest. Maybe you're taking really shallow breaths. And see if you can focus on bringing your breath from the top of your rib cage down to your hands just below your belly button. So rather than breathing using your rib cage, using your lungs, we're going to be using the diaphragm instead. And the diaphragm is going to pull down and make space for your lungs to fill. So you're going to feel like you're breathing into your hands. You're going to feel like you're breathing to your lower abdomen, into your hips. Try and imagine that that air is going all the way down the bottom of your torso first. And then any extra space that's in the lungs will fill last. And when you exhale, empty from the top down like a glass of water. So all the air at the top of the lungs is going to come out first, and then you're going to squeeze a little bit with that diaphragm to get that extra last little bit of air out from the bottom. So you practice that a couple of times and you'll feel, that's what we call deepening the breath, getting really deep diaphragmatic breaths. Because every time your diaphragm makes more space for air to come in, you have a deeper exhale, And then you'll have more space for air to come in again until you reach whatever your maximum capacity is. So practice sitting up tall, practice breathing into your hands. And when you get to the end of every exhale, when you're getting that last bit of air out, feel there's a little contraction when you get right to the end of that breath, like you're blowing up a balloon. You're trying to really get as much air out as you can. There's a tiny little contraction. So that's going to be your diaphragm filling up, essentially, spreading out. It flattens and contracts when you breathe in to let the air come. So your diaphragm is going to spread out, and you're going to feel your abs contract just a little bit right at the end, just to give you a little extra force. That's the third thing. So that's 3 things that you can focus on while trying to meditate instead of whatever else it is you are trying not to focus on. So we'll sit up tall. Make space between each of your vertebrae. Focus on your inhales and exhales. Breathe down into your lower abdomen. Breathe in. Maybe push your hands out a little bit with how much air you're getting in here. And exhale from the top down. Getting a little core contraction right at the end. Keep your shoulders relaxed. Keep your jaw relaxed. Probably starting to slouch, so remind yourself to sit up tall. Get your spine stretching out from the floor to the ceiling, from the earth to the sky. If you're having trouble sitting up, you can do this exercise lying down as well with your hands, or even a little book, something that just has a little bit of weight right just below the belly button area. And instead of breathing out or breathing in and using the force of your breath to push your hands out a little bit, you would be pushing your hands up towards the ceiling. I don't quite recommend that one if you can do the sitting version. Sitting version, I think, is better because we all need to work on our posture. And this way you have that really clear distinction. The earth is underneath my hips and is keeping me grounded. And the sky is above my head, keeping all of the possibilities open. If you want to, you can add a little ujjayi breath if you feel like you've already got those first 3 things down. And that's just a little constriction in the throat, like you're trying to fog up a mirror, that kind of feeling. Definitely easier to do on the exhale, but see if you can get that same contraction or constriction in the back of the throat. It shouldn't hurt. It should make a little bit of a sound, you know, that typical yoga breath. You'll hear people breathing really, really deeply, and you can hear them over there breathing. So it's a little more audible than your regular breath would be, but it shouldn't have any pain. If there's any pain, don't worry about the breath. Maybe see a respiratory therapist and check in with them just to be on the safe side. But if you want that extra 4th bonus thing to focus on, take a big breath in and then breathe out like you're fogging in a mirror. And then keep that feeling as you breathe in through your nose and out through your nose. You can absolutely breathe in through your nose and do the exhale out the mouth. just to get used to that feeling for a few rounds or even a couple of weeks, however long, it takes you to get the practice, however long you want to practice it for. If you feel pain while you're doing it or the next day, definitely see a registered healthcare professional of some kind. But if it feels okay to learn, keep practicing. It can take a little while to really get the body memory down. It's easy to do with the mouth open. We don't even think about that. Remember to keep your shoulders relaxed, space between your vertebrae. Fill the air at the bottom of your torso first. Empty from the top down. A little core contraction at the end of that exhale to give you a deeper inhale. And working in that ujjayi breath, if you feel comfortable, if you feel ready for it, if you want one more thing to focus on. But those are the three main things that I would recommend. Sitting up tall with your posture, breathing deep into your lower abdomen, breathing into the bottom of your chest first, filling up, and emptying down. And that little core contraction right at the end of your exhales that will help you get a much deeper inhale and just help your lung capacity and your breath practice in general. So that is your beginner's tutorial for meditation. If that's all that you really want to focus on is just thinking about the breath, just thinking about your posture, thinking about what order you're breathing in, those are the only really three things that you need. There will be other tutorials that I'm going to put up on different breath practices that involve counting, which is one of my favorite ways to meditate because you just focus on the numbers. But you can absolutely just focus on your posture and your breath and that little core contraction in your abs. Anytime you have 10 seconds, 30 seconds, just come back to a sitting position. I like to put the palms up, come to your breath. Instant relaxation. Thank you for breathing and meditating with me today. I will hopefully see you in the next video.